If you want to become extremely productive, today I'm going to teach you the 3 simple steps to creating a productivity system that actually helps you get more done. I'm Sarah, I'm a high performance coach, and on this channel I help you take more action towards your goals in your life and your business. So if that's something that you want to do, then make sure you hit subscribe. Okay, so step 1 to creating a productivity system that actually helps you get things done is to identify your productivity blockers. So I can give you a whole bunch of cool apps and tools, but none of that's really going to work if you don't know what's actually stopping you from being productive. So ask yourself, what are the things that actually stop me from getting things done? You might want to write that down right now and really consider what they are. The top 3 most common productivity blockers that I see are time management, resisting doing the thing, and then getting distracted. These are the things I see with my clients all the time, and that's what stops them. But you have to identify what it is for you. All right, once you've identified what your specific productivity blockers are, we can move on to the second step. Step 2 is to create solutions for those productivity blockers. So I'm going to give you examples from the 3 most common ones so that you can kind of see how I create solutions for these, and you can create them for your specific productivity blockers. Okay, so let's start with time management. If time management is a blocker for you, then you are not alone. So many clients that I coach struggle with time management, and it's because of this one thing. It is not about managing time. It is about managing your mind. We spend all of our energy trying to control time instead of controlling what's going on in our brains. Most people treat their brains like memory sticks, and they're thinking about, what have I got to do next Tuesday? And what's the thing that's on my calendar tomorrow? And how am I going to get it all done? What you want to do is really treat your brain like the brilliant processor that it is. So you want to delegate all of the information holding to a calendar. When you put everything on your calendar, and I do mean everything, I'm talking sleep, I'm talking eating, showering, when you're going to work, when you delegate all of that information to a calendar with a particular schedule, then your brain doesn't have to play that game of Tetris all the time trying to figure out when everything's going to get done. It can be freed up to actually process what is being done and get things done on time. So if time management is one of your productivity blockers, you want to take your entire to-do list and you want to put it on a calendar. Every single thing needs to have a time that it is going to get done. And now, when I first heard of this concept, I was like, that's going to be way too rigid. I want to feel free. I don't want to have any of that kind of like rigidity in my life or feeling restricted. But once I started doing it, I realized that I don't feel restricted at all. I actually feel free. And the reason is because now I no longer have to feel guilty like I should be doing something else, because I shouldn't be doing anything else. All I have to do is the one thing in front of me, and I just have to get my brain on board with doing that. And now my brain is freed up to get things done instead of just thinking about all the things that need to be done. And that brings me to the solution for the next productivity blocker, which is experiencing resistance. This is something that almost no one is talking about. You can look at high performers and just think, how are they doing that? How are they achieving at the highest level and just seemingly just getting everything done with no internal resistance? Well, I can tell you that is not true, because I've coached incredible high performers and everyone experiences resistance. The only difference is that the highest performers in this world have got tools to overcome it. So resistance is a feeling in your body, and it comes from what you are thinking. So if you're experiencing confusion or overwhelm or self-doubt or fear or lethargy, you just don't want to do the thing, right now you can identify that in that moment there's a thought coming up for you. You're thinking like, I don't want to do this, or something is going wrong here, or I might not achieve it, or I don't know what to do, or there's too much to do. Your brain is constantly serving you up all sorts of different thoughts, what I call the auto-generated suggestions. Like, you know how on a phone, if you start texting something, it might suggest something for you to write next? That is what your brain is doing all the time. You do not have to believe the auto-generated suggestions that your brain brings you. This is the most powerful thing. Once you understand that you do not have to believe that, you can shift things. I once heard an amazing therapist say, you can't choose your first thought, but you can choose your second thought. And that is what it's like with those auto-generated suggestions. Your brain is going to keep bringing them to you. It's a function you cannot turn off. but you can tell it what you want it to think. You can override those auto-generated suggestions and decide what you're going to think instead. So for example, if your brain is telling you, I don't want to do this, you can say, I do want to do this. You get to decide that that is a thought you want to think. So that's how to overcome resistance, is to identify the thought that you're experiencing that's causing you to feel that resistance, and then choose another thought that's going to make you feel a release of that resistance. Maybe it's going to make you feel clear or calm or relaxed. Find the thought that makes you feel the way you need to feel and start thinking that instead. So for example, before doing this video, I felt a ton of resistance. I was like sitting here and I was like, I just felt like I don't want to do this. And so I thought, what would I need to think in order to actually do it? And I identified that I would need to believe that this was going to go smoothly. If I just thought this is going to be easy, then I would want to do it. And so I started telling myself, this is going to be easy. So that is how you overcome resistance, is by figuring out what is the thought that is stopping you from doing the thing, what is the resistant thought, and then what is the thought that is going to make me want to do it. And you have to start switching what you're thinking. Now, once you're thinking the thoughts that help you release that resistance and do the work, you're going to probably face the next productivity blocker, which is getting distracted. In order to create a solution to overcome distraction, you have to understand that it's not actually the outside world that is distracting you. It is not your phone buzzing or you getting a notification or someone walking in. It is your thoughts about those things that create the distractions. So when your phone buzzes, you think, oh, I want to check that. And that's what makes you distracted. So we do not need to solve the phone problem, although you can. It's very easy to remove your phone and put it in the other room. What you want to do is you really want to start noticing when you are having those thoughts like, oh, I want to check that. And you want to create yourself a focus reset. A focus reset is a plan that you have ahead of time for what you're going to do the moment you notice yourself getting distracted. So when you notice yourself getting distracted by your phone or even by your own desires and thoughts of something else you'd rather be doing, that is when you bring in the reset. So the reset that I use is I tell myself I choose to focus, and then I close all of the tabs. Or I remove all of the distractions, whatever it is that I'm doing that's distracting me. So if distraction is one of your challenges, you want to come up with a focus reset that's going to work for you. What will you need to tell yourself and what will you need to do in that moment when you're experiencing the distraction? So whatever your productivity blockers are, you want to come up with a solution that actually works for you. Do not move on to the next step until you have found a solution for each of your productivity blockers. Once you have done that, you can move on to step 3, which is to turn all of those solutions into a cohesive system. There's no point having all of the solutions if you don't use them. You have to actually have them in a system that automatically happens in your day. So the secret to turning all of your solutions for your productivity blockers into a system is to plan them ahead of time. None of your productivity blockers are going to be solved in the moment. Like if you suddenly find yourself managing your time badly, it's really hard to recover from that in the moment. It is much easier to plan it ahead of time. And that is the secret to creating a productivity system that actually works, is that you have to plan ahead of time all of your solutions into your day. So what will it look like for you to turn your productivity blocker solutions into a routine? For me, every night before I go to bed, I look at my calendar and I plan what's going to happen the next day. Sometimes I've already planned it a week in advance, but I'm looking at my calendar and I'm going, what is actually going to happen tomorrow? And is there anything that needs to be changed around? And is there anything that needs to be removed or added? Because if I do that the night before, I'm ready for the next day. And I actually don't let myself make any decisions the next day. I have it all planned the night before. And then for me, every morning I sit down and I plan my thoughts for the day. This is to overcome the resistance in advance. I know that I'm going to sit down and make this video. I'm not going to want to do it. I probably won't. My brain never wants to do anything. So I planned this morning what I was going to think, and I decided to think this can be fun and easy. That is the thought that I chose, and that's the thought I've been reminding myself of as I've been noticing the resistance coming up. I remind myself this can actually be fun and easy, and then I remember, oh yeah, it is fun and easy, and I stop thinking that it's going to be hard and complicated, which is usually the resistance that I experience. So I've planned it in advance every single morning. I have that on my calendar. I have time planned at the end of the day to plan my calendar, and then every morning at 8 a.m. I have time planned to prepare my thoughts for the day to overcome the resistance. The same thing with distraction. I have planned my focus reset is going to be I choose to focus and then close all of the tabs or remove my phone. I have planned that ahead of time. So it's actually part of my routine and it is part of my day. And it's not just like, hopefully I do these things. This is something that I have planned times for on my calendar, and I'm constantly checking my calendar to see what's next. So I actually have this as part of my day, just like a meeting with someone else is scheduled. I have scheduled all of my productivity blocker solutions into my calendar. Okay, so those are the 3 steps that will actually help you create a productivity system. Number 1, identify your productivity blockers. Number 2, create solutions for those productivity blockers. And number 3, put all of those solutions into a cohesive system and a routine that actually gets used. Now that you've got a solid productivity system in place, you can actually do this for your entire life. I have got a video on how to organize your entire life where I walk you through step by step through the systems that I use for my life, including a whole workflow and Notion template that you can download to organize your entire life. So if you haven't seen that, then definitely check it out. I'm going to leave it in a link in the description. And in the meantime, if you've got productivity blockers that you want help creating a solution for, then drop them in the comments, because I would love to share my thoughts with you on exactly how to overcome those and use them as part of a system. All right, I hope you have an extremely productive day, and I will talk to you in the next video.